Today, we're going to be exposing the 3 ways that China has just secretly responded to America's Bitcoin Strategic Reserve announcement. Donald Trump was, elected president of the US only 2 weeks ago, and I am shocked that nobody is focusing on the 3 things that China has done in response to Donald Trump. So let's start exposing what these things are and what China's secret plan for Bitcoin is, because nobody is talking about this and it's absolutely shocked me. But earlier in the week, we saw this announcement right here. Cryptocurrency right now is clarified to be personal property in China, okay? Now, it's personal property, but as that headline over there says, it's still barred for businesses. So what exactly is going on? China is still officially banned for businesses, public companies, private companies, but now in the court system, Bitcoin is recognized as personal property. Why? We're going to be exploring why I think we're seeing this discrepancy between private businesses and personal individuals, but let's break down what's going on in a little bit more detail of this massive first domino that, again, has happened in the past 2 weeks. There are 3 dominoes that we're going to be covering today that I think is absolutely fascinating, okay? So the first one, crypto community sees positive signs in China's property status ruling, despite strict business bans. Okay, so let's have a look at this. There's a really interesting quote here. Although it is not illegal for an individual to simply hold virtual currency, commercial entities cannot participate in virtual currency investment transactions or even issue tokens on their IL. Okay, so there's a little bit going on here in regards to China flip-flopping on Bitcoin. And this headline in and of itself wouldn't be that interesting unless some more things happen in China in the same week. Okay, so again, let me zoom in and show you the date of this article. This literally happened on November 21st, 6 days ago. It's brand new. And guess what else is absolutely brand spanking new? That headline right there. Hong Kong's largest bank is now going to start offering Bitcoin to its clients. Again, Hong Kong is kind of a proxy region for China. They are controlled by China, okay? What happens in Hong Kong is what China agrees to, okay? So we can see very clearly here, Hong Kong's largest digital bank is launching retail crypto trading. What is going on here? Again, there's a little bit of shitcoining going on here because as we can see, retail users in Hong Kong can now buy Ethereum and Bitcoin through Hong Kong's largest virtual bank. They need an account and they do have to undergo a risk assessment. So it's not entirely, free-flowing adoption, and it's not a wild west out there in Hong Kong just yet. But what is happening in Hong Kong is they are slowly but surely wanting to become the world's global Bitcoin hub. And we can see from an article that I'm going to be dropping in my Substack in literally a couple of minutes time, we can see there's some extra source here I wanted to show you guys. Hong Kong Crypto Hub comes with the blessing from Beijing. Okay, this is something we've covered a lot here on the channel. We know that, Hong Kong has ambitions to become the crypto hub of the entire world. I'm trying to find you guys the original source that I showed you guys way back in late 2023 when the news dropped. But we can see a Bloomberg article I thought broke the internet that said Hong Kong's crypto hub ambitions win the quiet backing from Beijing. Again, the important words of that headline, the quiet backing from Beijing. For those who missed that live stream or that video, again, we were showing you guys that there were Chinese CCP, okay, Chinese Communist Party officials spotted in Hong Kong at Bitcoin meetups, and the rumors on the ground were that China was okay with what Hong Kong were doing. The rumors were what I have on screen over here. They were that Beijing is actually giving Hong Kong their quiet bless him. Okay, so again, we've been speculating here for a little bit of time that what's happening in China is certainly something to keep an eye on, so to say. And again, when we start, piecing together all of these puzzle pieces around Southeast Asia, things start to make sense. Okay, again, I don't think it's a coincidence that China's neighbor, Laos, has been actively mining Bitcoin with government resources all the way back since 2022. Think about that for a minute. Who's talking about the Laos government mining Bitcoin with government resources? The exact figure from memory was that the Laos government expected to increase their government revenue by 30% just through using excess energy to mine Bitcoin. And then let's not forget another neighbor of China. Of course, we're talking about the Kingdom of Bhutan, who right now, despite only having 786,000 people, they're a very small country, okay? They've only got $2.5 billion worth of a GDP in their country. They, today, own the most amount of Bitcoin per capita. Right now, the Bitcoin that the Kingdom of Bhutan owns, I think is worth somewhere around $1.2 billion. Okay, they are the fourth largest Bitcoin holder in regards to governments or nation states all around the world. And I think it's absolutely massive what they're doing. And I do not think it's a coincidence that these two little tiny nations seem to be experimenting with Bitcoin, and they are on the border of who's who? China. Okay, I do think maybe, just maybe, we're seeing some really interesting developments at a nation state level. If I were to show you a map of China, I'm going to try my absolute best to show you just how close the Kingdom of Bhutan and our other friends, Laos, actually are to China. So you can see it on the map here very clearly. Okay, we have China, massive landmass. But who's on their border? Hello, the Kingdom of Bhutan. You can see them very clearly. They are on the border of China. Now, where is our other friends that we're talking about? And you know what else is interesting about this region? See Myanmar? I hope I'm sharing my screen. I am. Okay, you guys can see the map. See Myanmar here, also called Burma. They kind of also neighbor China. And let's not forget, they're actually using Tether as their official legal tender. No, I'm not making this up. They are. And look who is just next door to Myanmar. This is where things get really interesting. Again, that's the other country I'm talking about, Laos. Why do all of China's neighbors have a little bit of an interest in Bitcoin? Again, some of you guys might have actually missed these videos, so I'm going to show you the receipts. Just so you know, I'm not just making all of this stuff up, because all of this is happening. Laos is mining Bitcoin with government resources. Okay, we can see here very clearly, Myanmar's shadow government is using Tether. Okay, I was just showing you guys the receipts, and we can also see very clearly that Laos, their government, is mining Bitcoin. Okay, it is very, very clear that China's neighbors are very interested in Bitcoin and US dollar stablecoins. And again, there's been some speculations from some people, myself included, saying that if America were to adopt Bitcoin as a global reserve currency or legal tender, wouldn't it be wise for them to experiment in a different country, a country that they're a friend with, a country that is allies to them, and say, hey, why don't you make Bitcoin legal tender? We just want to see how it goes. We want to see what's the adoption like, what's the infrastructure hurdles, what are the biggest learnings? Can you do this for us? Again, some people have speculated that maybe, just maybe, El Salvador is that pilot program that America has always wanted. Just a speculation. I do think it's interesting that, wasn't it Bukele, the Bitcoin president of El Salvador, was the first president from around the world who actually met with Donald Trump after being elected? I don't think it's a coincidence, guys. I do not believe in coincidences. That's just another small piece of anecdotal evidence that has certainly caught my attention recently. I think there's many things going on all around the world. I think there's all sorts of nation state adoption and nation state handshakes that we aren't privy to. Okay, I think it's a complex world, what's happening around the world. Again, if you prefer these deep dives in a, let's call it a written format, you can't handle my Australian accent, I have good news for you guys. Just wanted to once again remind you, I do have a free newsletter. As you can see, I'm dropping a deep dive on China and nation state FOMO today. So again, there is a link to that in the description of today's show. And over there, you're not going to have to worry about me having audio issues live in a video. Okay, so again, if you're not subscribed to that, check it out. I don't spam you guys. I might post 1 or 2 emails a week, and I try to condense down these 20, 30-minute live streams even further into like a 5-minute live stream. Okay, so check that out if you haven't seen already. But let's dive a little bit deeper into this third catalyst that China has just embarked on in the past 2 weeks since Trump made Bitcoin, well, since Trump was elected, mind you. And that, of course, I'm going to actually show you. It's direct. I'm going to show you straight from the source. That's from my email. So we can see here, last week, I found it absolutely fascinating that Chinese TV, the national news of China, was very positively talking about Donald Trump becoming the world's crypto capital of the world and establishing a strategic Bitcoin reserve. I also think it's coincidental that it's very difficult to find that clip in English. Nearly impossible, might you say, okay? So again, I can't play you the clip, but what I will tell you is it's a little 2-minute segment on the national news of China, and for them to positively talk about Bitcoin and say, hey, look at what America's doing. Donald Trump's creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve. Maybe we should do the same. They didn't say that on the news, but that what I think is that's what they're implying. I'm reading between the lines here. You guys know I like to strap the tinfoil hat on from time to time, okay? And I do think it is awfully coincidental what is happening around the world, and in particular in China, because it's not just China right now responding to Donald Trump's strategic Bitcoin reserve plans. We have other news coming out of Morocco, coming out of Poland, the world's 21st largest country. Again, Morocco, I believe it was Morocco. Let me double check the facts for you. But we're talking about the 6th largest country in Africa has also just dropped a bombshell this week. Oh, we are talking about Morocco. I just checked my receipts. I'm not going to show you my receipts because I'm thinking about doing another video in depth, breaking down what's happening in not only Morocco, but the Middle East and Africa later today. If you're lucky, you might get a little double dose of Luca here in about maybe an hour. I might do another live stream for you guys if I've got the time and the energy. I've got plans. You know what I normally say, lo siento, estoy tarde. I'm sorry, I am late. They're one of the few words I know in Spanish because I have to use them all the time, okay? So you may or may not see a little bit more about Morocco later, but I do want to talk about Poland here in a moment because everybody around the world is buying Bitcoin. They're FOMOing into Bitcoin. The FOMO is accelerating at a breakneck pace. I'm actually shocked at how quickly we're watching nation states adopt Bitcoin. Again, if you're new here, if you're fascinated by the price of Bitcoin, right now hanging out at around $100,000 per coin, I might show you the chart. We can see very clearly here, Bitcoin's just chilling at $96,000. Okay, if we take a look at the Bitcoin chart on a weekly, it's been very clear what's happened since we broke out of that little consolidation range. Up, baby, up. This thing's going up forever. Literally, it's going up forever, Laura. Okay, we all know that. The number one rule of Bitcoin is it's a technology. It has a limited supply, 21 million. So if more people want to adopt this thing, the price will go up forever with volatility. And that's what the 15-year chart of Bitcoin is showing you guys. Okay, have a look at that. Imagine not buying that chart. Yes, there's some volatility that scares some people, but that thing is going up forever. Now, the big question I want you to ask yourself if you're new here, why does that chart look the way it does? Why? Why does it have this massive bubble every 4 years and then it crashes and it dies? But every time it dies, crashes to a higher level. Okay, Bitcoin is a technology. It's very early in its adoption phase. And I think these volatility cycles are scaring a lot of people off. But when you put the chart of Bitcoin on a log chart, you can see very clearly This is a brand new technology being adopted by the world, and there is no stopping this. Again, it moves in these 4-year cycles. You can see very clearly every 4 years we have a crash. That's signified by the green boxes. But every 4 years we have a Bitcoin halving. The amount of new supply created gets programmatically cut in half. Okay, this is how Bitcoin keeps its 21 million capped supply. And you can see every supply halving, nearly just like how economics works, we see a Bitcoin bull run. The price goes up when the new supply gets cut in half. Every 4 years it happens. Okay, so many people are perplexed by this chart. So many people are once again shocked that Bitcoin's at $96,000 and they don't know why. They don't know why this bubble continues to be bubblicious. They don't know why tulips mania continues to have these bubbles, okay? I think this chart explains absolutely everything we need to do, or we need to know, so to say. Before we do talk about Poland, Robert has a great question there in the chat about Poland. Again, I would just encourage you guys, if you do want to get a piece of this thing right here, a piece of the best performing asset in history, I always encourage you guys to learn a little bit more about Bitcoin. Do your research on Bitcoin, okay? I always encourage you guys to definitely store your Bitcoin correctly. That is, of course, where Stampseed comes into the mix. I believe that Stampseed creates the industry standard Bitcoin storage solution, okay? So many people think that just simply, buying Bitcoin on an exchange is enough. It's not enough. It's definitely not enough. I always encourage you guys to actually use Bitcoin the way it's supposed to be used. Take self-custody of your Bitcoin, put it in a hardware wallet, and then back up your Bitcoin 12 or 24 words on titanium. Okay, that is what Stampseed makes. They make these really sexy steel plates. Okay, as you can see, they are incredible. They are beautiful. And let me tell you, they are even more beautiful in person. Have a look at those puppies there. I've got myself a few plates, and I highly recommend you check them out as well. You can get 15% off absolutely anything you want to buy from Stampseed with that promo code right there. I think it's Luke15. And I think that's definitely your number one stop for Bitcoin storage. Now, if you guys are institutional investors or simply retail investors, again, if you're looking for somewhere to buy your Bitcoin that offers you a little bit of a unique service, okay, I always encourage you guys to check out what Caleb and Brown is doing, okay? They are a very unique option. They are a Bitcoin brokerage. So what that means is they will actually hold your hand through the Bitcoin buying journey, okay? So many people, they buy at an exchange, right? Everybody knows what an exchange is. Everybody knows, yes, exchanges are great. You get very quick service, don't get me wrong. But I also like to give people the option of Caleb and Brown, okay? So they are the best Bitcoin brokerage there is out there. Highly encourage you guys to go buy your Bitcoin at Caleb and Brown. And as you can see a link that you guys can use down below. Maybe my audio is a little bit low here. Leroy, let me know how the audio is going, guys. I am struggling a little bit today with my flat microphone. If the audio is good, I'm going to continue talking about Poland here in a moment and a couple of the other nation states that look to be making some pretty interesting announcements regarding Bitcoin. But if the audio is no good, we will end this stream. But I certainly can't end the stream without saying thank you so much to Dean Martin for the super chat, my man. Is that 99 South African rands? Is that what a ZAR is? Dude, thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate that. Best wishes from South Africa. Could you do some forecasts for Bitcoin and MicroStrategy for, say, end of 2025? Mate, shot in advance. Dude, okay, thank you for the super chat. Now I'm going to give you guys my projections or my thoughts on where Bitcoin's going to be by May 2025. Okay, so the audio is good. So again, let's begin our Bitcoin price projections and my forecast with the caveat, nobody knows where the price of Bitcoin is going in the short or the medium term. I've been fascinated by the Bitcoin space since 2017. That's 7 or 8 years ago now. And I've learned very quickly that people struggle to predict the price of Bitcoin. I'm just going to say that, okay? But I think Bitcoin, May 2025, typically that's kind of close to when Bitcoin tops. Like Bitcoin will typically top in these 4-year cycles, somewhere around 12 to 18 months after the halving. So again, the last halving, 2024, happened all the way back here in April 2024. So I'm going to show you guys the chart so we can see very clearly. This is the chart of Bitcoin. And we can see typically, Bitcoin will top somewhere around 12 to 18 months after these white lines. These white lines are the halvings. We can see 640 days. We topped in 2017 after that 2016 halving. In 2012, we had a little bit of a shorter cycle, but again, it was 1 year, 365 days. We saw something similar here in 2020. We topped 548 days after the halving. Now, if we just take an average of all three of those gross estimations that we've done on the live stream, I'm going to say the average of that is, let's say about 500 days after the halving. 400 to 500 days. So that would suggest that Bitcoin's going to top somewhere around mid-2025. Let's call it August 2025. That's when I think Bitcoin's going to top. So my forecast for May, which is when our man here in the chat is asking for, would be somewhere around here. We have what? 4 or 5 months until May. So my base case for this cycle is the Bitcoin hits somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 per coin. That's my base case. All right. I give that maybe a 30 to 40% probability. And again, I think that's different because it's different to most people, because I believe the common consensus is that Bitcoin's going to top at about 100K or 150K. Most people think, oh, we're going to continue to see diminishing returns. And they have a look at if I would show you what I'm talking about and what diminishing returns are, what people are projecting is they're saying, okay, I've figured out this Bitcoin thing. Back in 2012, it went nuts. It did a 20x. Oh, sorry, is that a 200x? Bitcoin did a 200x in the 2012 bull run. It did a 20x in the 2017 bull run. It only did a 5 or a 6x in the 2021 bull run. And they're going to say this trend will continue. Bitcoin's only going to do, let's say a 5 or a 10x in this bull run, meaning Bitcoin's going to top under $200,000 per coin. Now, I strongly disagree with that. Again, it's a probability. I give it maybe a 10, 20% probability that Bitcoin tops out at around $150,000 or $200,000, like the power law is projecting, right? I don't agree with the power law. I really don't. But again, I'm not going to claim that, I have the secrets to the universe. And just because of math and science, Bitcoin has to top at $200,000 a coin. I think that's naive. I think that's ignorant. I think that's dangerous to say you know what something's going to do with certainty just because you have a model. Okay, again, some models are useful. What's the quote? But all models will be broken. Okay, and I believe a lot of these models will be broken to the upside. So my forecast, again, for May 2025, if I think we're going to top at somewhere around $300,000 to $500,000 per coin, I think in May, we've probably still got 3 to 6 months left in the bull run. I think maybe we might be around, say, 200K, maybe $200,000. And again, let's not forget Bitcoin, the majority of Bitcoin's gains come in the last month or two of the bull run. Okay, in 2017, Bitcoin doubled from 10K to 20K in 5 days. Okay, at the end of the bull run, things get really parabolic, and that's when Bitcoin has a little bit of a crash and it needs to reset and digest the move that it's just made. So my projections, maybe we're around 200K by May, 2025. Probably my base case there, $200,000. Now, MSTR, this is going to be tough. MSTR is even more difficult to forecast, so to say, because it's just so volatile. I would not have guessed that MSTR right now is, oh my goodness, it's 5 times higher than its 2021 all-time high. So we can see back in 2021, MSTR it traded a lot at about $70 per share. You can see a big wick to $130 per share. But if you say the average, it tops, say, around $70, we're trading at 388 right now. That's a 400% gain. That's 5x. MSTR is 5x above its 2021 all-time high. MSTR is 400% higher than its 2021 all-time high. What was Bitcoin's all-time high? $69,000. My favorite number. Bitcoin's only what? 30% above its all-time high. So again, I think it's really difficult to predict or project or forecast where either asset is going. But MSTR is even more uncertain for me just because of how volatile it is. I think because of Saylor's buying spree, things could get pretty wild. Things could get really crazy. And even more crazy because we have, Poland FOMOing into Bitcoin. We have nation states all around the world FOMOing into Bitcoin. We have China doing a backflip on their Bitcoin plan. Okay. We have the 3rd largest presidential candidate in Poland, the 21st largest country, literally bull posting. I'm going to try my best to share my screen. We can see this is the 3rd largest politician in the upcoming presidential race in Poland, the 21st largest country. 21st largest country, 21 million Bitcoin. Maybe there's a sign there. Maybe there is, maybe there's not. But I think nation state FOMO is happening. China is a signal that things are happening. Thomas in the chat says, how about this top being around $606,000 per Bitcoin? I think there's a good chance we get there. I think there's a higher chance than most people in the space think we're going to get there. I think Bitcoin's going to surprise everybody to the upside. And I really do think we are on the precipice of an incredible Bitcoin bull run. Again, if Bitcoin's going to these crazy numbers, please, for the love of God, sort out your Bitcoin security. I always encourage you guys, 15% discount on the stamp seed titanium plates. Back up your Bitcoin. The big boys are coming. The nation states are coming. FOMO is accelerating, and you're going to want to make sure your Bitcoin